Welcome back, everyone. Today's video is going to be a bloom update for the month of November, and I'm going to show you everything going on here. Jumping right in, we have the Dendrobium Enobi Purple, which has been in bloom for about 2 months, and it's starting to fade. I've got my Dendrobium Angel Baby Little Darling. I love when that blooms. It's so pretty. And I got a lot of work to do. I have some orchids that need a little help. Some I haven't even taken out and gotten to record yet because I've just been so busy. So I'm going to show you just some of my favorites that I was able to record. And I'm going to show you some that I didn't record right on the shelves. I've got my some new ones that I'm going to show you for the very first time. That one is my Dendrobium Enobi Purple Splash. You guys have seen my Hoyas by now. And then some Cattleyas like my Morning Glory, my Burana Beauty. This one's so beautiful. It has a nice fragrance. And then we have Trick or Treat back here, which I haven't seen bloom since I repotted it in the spring. So that one's really nice. I want to thank everyone that came to my orchid workshop. It was really nice. I unfortunately wasn't able to record it. It lasted almost 2 hours, so I want to thank everyone who came. I met a few people that watched the channel, which was really nice, so thank you for coming through. Getting back to the orchids, I have all my phals that are spiking right now. I took that spike out. If not, it was going to get stuck there and I would have had trouble. So right after I made that video, I took that spike out of that light. But let me show you everything that's in bloom right now, everything that I recorded, and I hope you guys like it. Okay, so the first orchid in bloom is the Cattleya Fascelis, and this one is one of my favorites. So it blooms for me about twice a year. This is the first time I get 2 blooms on it, and what I really like about this one is that it is a dark version. I got this at the Tamiami Orchid Festival in 2021, and it was a teeny tiny little seedling, and from ever since I got it, I was able to divide it and give it to a friend in Florida, so I hope his blooms very soon. But this one is nice because it's got a very waxy flower. I actually took it to my orchid workshop, and unfortunately, it was not fragrant because it was later in the day, but I can tell you in the morning, it's got this like floral, cinnamony fragrance. It's very strong. The blooms last about 3 weeks because they're so waxy, and that lip is perfect. This is one of my favorites. Okay, the next orchid in bloom is my BC Morning Glory, and this is a very vigorous one. I'd say that it blooms multiple times per year. I wouldn't be surprised if I get blooms on this 5 or 6 times in the year because it's one of those Brassavola nodosa hybrids that is just extremely vigorous. It blooms off of every single growth, and it's quite nice. This one has a light fragrance. It smells a bit like sunscreen to me, so it's not super strong, but it's very pretty. I repotted it a couple of months ago, maybe 2 months ago, right before it started getting cooler. I think I repotted it end of August, early September, and this was the last repot I did for the year. And it was nice to see that it pushed out 3 blooms, and I think the bloom count will continue to improve now that it's in its pot and it'll start adapting. But I'm very happy with this one. The next orchid in bloom is the Dendrobium Enobi Purple. This was a week before I showed you the video from before where it started fading. And I actually repotted this orchid in the spring, and I think I'm going to skip repotting it this year because I want the bloom count to improve. Also, this is a this has a very tight growth habit, so I don't think it's going to climb out of the pot or anything. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I repotted it this spring, but last spring. So it'll last in this pot a little bit longer. And when you repot something, sometimes it takes a while for the bloom count to improve. So when you leave it alone, the next year it does even better. And the potential of this one is so big. I've seen it have even more spikes. So next year, this is going to be crazy. This blooms twice a year, gives me a big show, then like a little show, but I can't wait to see the big show next year. Now this one is new. This is also an Enobi, but this one is the Purple Splash. This is much smaller than the Dendrobium Enobi Purple. It's about the size of my purple when I got it, so it has a lot of potential to push out lots and lots of blooms. I actually did a survey on my Instagram, and a lot of people said they prefer the splash version over the purple version. As of right now, the poll was 70% splash to 30% purple. So let me know down in the comments which one you prefer. These don't have fragrance, but again, they push out lots of flowers. They last very long. And I was talking about this in my orchid workshop. You guys have to try Dendrobiums if you're new growers. They're easier than Phalaenopsis, and they're hardier. They're not hard. They could take neglect. They don't need to be watered often. And look at these beautiful flowers. They last such a long time. Okay, the next one is my Caulocatlia Ethel's Paradise. Gosh, the judgment I feel I'm going to get on this one. The leaves are getting bit by my cat Zoe. Oh my God. Well, let me just say that the abuse it's taken by my cat, it has a lot of vigor. Despite being eaten like cat grass, this one blooms constantly. I get so frustrated with Zoe because I do put cat grass out for her and she still eats it. Now this is so vigorous, it just blooms off almost every single growth, which is nice. It's not as vigorous as a Brassavola nodosa, but it's pretty dang close. This has a very strong fragrance. I would say it's like, I don't know, it's like a rosy, like minty kind of fragrance. Quite nice, very pretty, very vigorous. All right, the next one is an oldie but a goodie. You guys remember when I got this from White Plains Orchids. This is the Dendrobium Angel Baby Little Darling. I remember when I got it, it was small, but it was in bloom, and it was like 50 something dollars. And I was like, damn, that's expensive. But I ended up really loving this orchid. I have to repot it. I haven't repotted it in 3 years. It's got keikis with flowers on it. It's got more blooms coming in. This is not the full potential for this orchid. It's just blooming on one side. But we have buds coming in on the other side as well. You can see in the back, it's got one rogue flower, and that is off a keiki. So I've given this orchid to so many friends. It's a good one. It smells like a gardenia, and it's like a floral gardenia, very fresh, like linen and gardenia, I'd say. Small, vigorous, does not need a rest. Love it. And I also love this one. You guys see this one blooming all the time. This is the Patanera Hawaiian Charisma Hawaii. For me, this smells like lemon sorbet. I really like it. I think it's so beautiful. The flowers are nice and big. It's vigorous. I repotted it in the spring and it's already outgrowing the pot, which is, oh gosh, I need to repot it again. These Hawaiian hybrids, they really tend to be very vigorous. Anything from like Akatsuka or Carmela orchids, they're very complex hybrids. They have a lot of hybrid vigor. I would say that this blooms 4 times a year, but it's growing out of the pot, which is not ideal, but I'm going to wait for the spring to repot just because I'm busy. This is definitely not ideal. I need to mist those roots quite frequently. But I'll do better. I'll do everything in the spring and stay on top of everything. Up next, actually, this is probably the last one. This one is the Dendrobium New Hope Mini. Another very cute, compact dendrobium. One of my favorites as well, just because it's so small. So a lot of the dendrobiums that I showed in this video are very compact. They don't get too big. I have got a lot of dendrobiums that get huge. And the ones that I'm showing today, they're good for apartments. They're not too big. They're floriferous. They're easy. And I kept saying in my workshop, if there's new beginner growers, you should really try a Cattleya, try a Dendrobium, just because they're so much easier to grow than Phalaenopsis, in my opinion. They just need a little bit more light than a phal, but they take neglect very well. They're not going to die on you if you go on vacation. They're a lot easier than they seem. So if you're a beginner grower, definitely give some of these a shot and you'll be pleasantly surprised. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.